Hey everyone, James here. I just want to put together a new and improved version of our live webinar. So many of you are asking for a pre-recording or recording of that session. I've just decided to make a brand new one because a lot of the strategies that we held 6 to 7 months ago aren't as effective today because they've been replaced with even better ones. And this is the case here on LinkedIn. It's always adapting and changing, and so should we be, right? So I wanted to put this together. So in this, I will be answering plenty of questions that we've received over the coming weeks. Every time we send out the recording, we get questions, and of course that leads to conversation. So I thought I'd answer those at least within this video. But of course, I want to share with you some more up-to-date stuff here on the LinkedIn platform. So because of the interest previously, I'm going to do a bit of a Q&A style with this where I answer a question and I actually showcase it to you on the LinkedIn platform. I think it'll be far more entertaining, but equally just as engaging for you guys to get started. So just quickly, I'm going to sign into LinkedIn because for some reason I keep getting signed out, and I'll deal with that at another time. I think I need to clear my cache. Anyway, in the previous webinar, one of the things that we focused on was how to achieve finding your target audience. Now, this is the most important thing to focus here on LinkedIn. But now we want to turn them into leads. So in this video, I won't be sharing with you how to find your prospects directly, and we may do a little bit, but really I will leave that for some other content to help you do that. Okay, this is really about the strategies and how we turn them into leads and ultimately customers, and sort of the best approaches to go through that. So the first question that we received was, how do you communicate what you do without it being salesy? Now, this is a really good way of wording this question, and I want to share with you guys a very simple tip where without even having someone view your profile, you can actually immediately tell them what it is you do. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and where this is most effective is you're able to showcase this on every message you send, every comment that you make, and every post that you make. Your pronouns go with it. Now, LinkedIn now allow you to go ahead and go in the settings and customize your pronouns, and you can type in your job title within this section. So immediately, wherever you see my name on the LinkedIn platform, you will go ahead and know exactly what it is I do. That way, if you click my profile, you're now met with some additional messaging that helps you guide and understand what it is we do. Of course, I help businesses not just through education through a course, but we also have a service. So I need to communicate both sides. But so this has opened up the spacing and the characters for me to share whether you're a Fortune 500 or a brand new startup. We have something that can help you, and here it is below. So this is just a great way of subtly communicating very quickly what you do, how it works, and ultimately what it is you do incredibly subtly. This is super, super powerful and shouldn't be overlooked. That way you don't have to use up the characters and you can tell them more about what it is you do in slightly more detail. Now, the second question here is, let me just find it here. Sorry, my inbox. Feel free to message me, by the way, with some extra questions. My inbox is quite busy. So let me just go ahead and filter this by unread. It says, okay, what are the most important elements to focus on when optimizing your profile? Okay, well, that's fitting given that we're still on this subject. So let's jump straight back to my profile here. So you can see here, and I'll just close this here. So you can see here that the LinkedIn profile is, of course, ultimately a landing page, right? So we want to communicate all the things that you can do. Now, firstly, your profile image should be really, really strong and impactful. Okay, so a lot of prospects on this platform, they like the colored backgrounds. So do I. Many people use yellow, but again, you want to stand out because most don't. Okay, so when you use a color or a colored background, you can definitely get some extra eyeballs on what it is you do. And of course, keep in mind that when you post, this grayed area where my mouse is the edge of LinkedIn. Of course, on a mobile device, a little bit different, but we want to have a popping color to sort of bring extra eyeballs. Now, with your cover image, I'm not here to tell you what's a good design or bad design. Ultimately, you want to communicate what makes you unique and why they should connect with you. So many people seem to skip over the fact that your profile is actually something people visit, and the majority of people that visit aren't connected with you. Okay, so we want to encourage them and give them reasons as to why they should. So, as part of this process, you want to communicate who you work with or potentially how you can help people. Okay, the second thing is if you're able to get one of these top voice badges, you absolutely can do, by the way, and it's simply by it's sort of contributing to the community within the professional dashboard. You'll get a notification when you're invited to these. But absolutely do it, because some people can even search for people that actually have this top badge. And that happened to me the other day. Someone wrote to me to say, hey, I found you because you're top social media marketing voice badge. And of course, that opened a door to an opportunity that I didn't have before. So again, really, really strong. And then the second part, and this is one real reason to be a premium member, is you're now able to show your services. Now, this does two things. Firstly, you can generate leads through an opted-in form using this method. I won't show you that just immediately because, of course, you'll see my leads, and I don't want to share who's, of course, writing to me. That would be unfair on them as well. But ultimately, what you can also do when you turn this feature on is you can actually showcase some of your testimonials. So in my case, it's very difficult as a marketing person to be accepted on the LinkedIn platform because everybody knows what it is you're going to share. But by adding my 7 best reviews to the platform, it immediately allows you to think of me maybe slightly differently. It also allows me to share immediately what I do. And of course, people can fill in a form depending on what they might be interested in, right? So again, this is super, super valuable. And really what I'm trying to do with my profile here is I want you to get an understanding of who I am and what I do. But really what I want you to see is my reviews before you even consider what it is I do. Because guess what's right below? You have my reviews, and immediately we have some call to actions, of course, right? So my goal with LinkedIn, and this is really where I specialize, is I'm only focused in turning business growth from the LinkedIn platform. So posting's great, getting engagement's great. They all help, but they're not really the difference maker. So if you go from 10 likes to 20 likes on your LinkedIn posts, doesn't mean you're going to get more customers. I'm solely focused on generating customers. So within this section, you can see here a link that goes directly to my LinkedIn course, which feel free to check out, by the way, it will still be there. And then the second part is a new free webinar. So of course, we're always running webinars on the platform. We're always doing different. So again, we'd like to do that because we want to keep people continuously updated. But more importantly, we can actually, with each event, we actually choose to target different industries. That's one of the reasons why we run them. So we're able to, of course, test different methods, different messaging, and more importantly, how well it's received with certain people, depending on their job title and industry, right? Because literally every industry and profile is different on the LinkedIn platform. Anyway, let's jump into the next question. So it says, how can I make my headline stand out among the others in my industry? Well, I will jump back very briefly, but again, what I would recommend there is you actually change your job title as your pronoun. Okay, you can do that within the settings. You can customize it, and it allows you to showcase your job title there, and it frees up those extra characters. I did just cover that in the first one, so we won't spend much time there on this one. So let's jump to the next question. So what strategies do you recommend for finding and connecting with potential clients on LinkedIn? Now, that's a great question because I always come at that with a completely different viewpoint than my customers. Okay, so most customers come to me and say, hey, James, I'm interested in working with these people in this industry, in this location. Can you help me? And I say, of course, we can find those people, but more importantly, what is it you're trying to sell them? Because what I actually look for when we work with customers is a warm reason to outreach. So as an example, if I'm looking for CEOs, but I want them to be already interested in what I do, I could go out and find another LinkedIn event and immediately find the prospects. In fact, should we just share that with you very quickly? I think we should. Let's jump straight in. So with LinkedIn here, you can find many different ways of doing the same process. So here, I'm going to show you what an event looks like, okay? And this is a real secret here on the platform. So you can type in any keyword at any time on the LinkedIn platform. And I recommend you do this for your own industry, filter it by events, and again, you can do this for groups, which right now groups are working fantastic, is I can go ahead and find very quickly an event that's similar to mine. So let me just take this one as an example. And apologies, the first page of LinkedIn events for the last week has been a little bit messy. You're getting some weird results. So make sure you go to page 2. So again, here's another event. I'm number 2. Bob is number 1 on the LinkedIn platform, but I'm able to go within his event because I run my own, and I'm actually able to filter who's within here. So if I was looking for UK and USA, and let's just say I'm looking for founders as an example, I can immediately source 1,500 founders on the LinkedIn platform that are already interested in getting business leads from LinkedIn. I shouldn't have to explain the power of this, but of course, if I was just looking for founders to work with, well, of course I could outreach to founders, but I'd rather outreach to those founders that have already told me that they're interested in turning LinkedIn into a lead generation channel. Now, as you may have seen there very briefly, I don't look to target my competitors. It's just a decision I've made. There's plenty of fish in the sea, in my opinion, but I am happy to share with you that strategy is possible. And of course, that's how you can quickly find them. Again, that's just very high level. You would need to do a lot of cleaning up. And I would highly recommend focusing in on groups, and specifically the private groups that are out there on the platform. They're immense quality within them, and they're something that can kind of grow better over time. So when you focus in on a group, you can actually you become kind of established within a group personally. So say you add a couple hundred people, what that does, it actually tells LinkedIn that every new person that joins that group, they suggest your profile as one to add. And you've all experienced this. If you're in any groups, you will have people say, hey, I found you in the group, wanted to add you. And that's exactly what's happening. So that's something that can actually happen over the long-term view, where one of the things I like to tell my customers is there's 2 sides to LinkedIn: the people that we choose to go out to and the people that discover you. The second is actually better, but it takes a lot of time to have that built. So some of our customers, we have set them up to where they're getting 100 to 500 new connections every month, but people are adding them. There is no receiving limit here on LinkedIn. There's only a sending limit, and that's regards to connection requests. So keep that in mind. If you can build a strategy where people find you, you will grow much, much quicker here on the platform. And just so you know, people that find you are a lot easier to sell, especially when cold. Okay. And that's especially the case in my industry, as you can imagine. Anyway, let's jump to the next question. So how can I effectively follow up with new connections without coming across pushy? Now, this is a fantastic question, because this is the case with all of my customers. And it's the idea of, you have a sequence that you may have already put in place by email, or even if you're brand new to this, it's very easy to think that somebody was interested in your first message and carry on the conversation, even if they haven't replied. We actually do something completely different on the LinkedIn platform, and it's we constantly share different things that are valuable, but done in a unique way. So if you want to get across an offer, rather than sending them a message that feels like you're trying to sell them, we might just direct them to a post which already has all the social proof that you're looking for that will help you sell that person. But it's something that's been out there publicly. And if they're interested, they can read more there. And that seems to help people kind of gauge who you are. And it doesn't feel as salesy. It just feels like you're sharing them a post. Okay, so that's one very subtle way of doing it. The second is actually endorsing a person. So if you've already sent that offer message, or maybe you've even sent them a message on LinkedIn, they were maybe interested, they wanted to speak, they haven't replied, which can happen. I'd highly recommend that you endorse them. So you go to their profile, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you endorse them for one of their skills. Now, what does this do? LinkedIn, for the next 72 hours or 3 days, it actually notifies them consistently to say thank you. When they click the thank you button, guess what reappears? The messaging. Okay, so it's a very subtle, and it's very much like a compliment in a way on the LinkedIn platform, but it's a great way of getting their attention in a way that, you kind of reappear with the offer, or perhaps your call to action, which just after receiving a compliment, they're very likely to entertain. And it's something that we do consistently. Also, just following up with more and more value is just a route that we like to go. So just because someone didn't reply to your first message doesn't mean they wasn't interested, just means they didn't get round to it. So you can follow up to achieve the same call to action, but I'd actually encourage you to take a different call to action with a different piece of value. And now they have options to let you know which one they're more interested in. So if I followed up with a guide, they would say, hey, James, great guide. I'm interested in speaking, as an example, right? But if I'm very pushy, no one's shopping for anything on the LinkedIn platform, right? So you got to keep that in mind when doing outreach. Anyway, let's jump to the next one. So what types of content have you found to be the most effective for generating leads on LinkedIn? Well, this one, I'm a little bit biased, okay? So as you may or may not know, the recording of this video is being updated for one of our, apologies, one of our evergreen events on the LinkedIn platform. This is where we use the LinkedIn event process to actually continuously find us leads. Now, this is content done in a different way, albeit that you promote it, then you deliver it. And of course, this is kind of a full circle moment for me because I'm delivering the video again as we speak. So this here has been around now for just shy of a year. In that year, we've generated 16,764 leads for people that are interested in generating more leads for their business. It's that simple. Okay, so we're using this method. We've promoted it for 4 months, which is what our service does, and we've let it rest on the LinkedIn platform. Now, the reason these grow is they actually use a strategy that we like to call one-to-many. And what I mean by this is that every time one person joins on the LinkedIn platform to our event, we invite one person once and they join, it actually shares it to their entire network. So quite literally, you can have LinkedIn going out there and finding you new customers for you. Of course, it takes many months to build a sort of an audience to really achieve and get that up to around 100 attendees typically. But once you have those people, a crowd attracts a crowd. So what we've done now is we've actually turned off all the promotion for that event, and it grows by 200 to 300 people every single day. And it has been for the last 7 months. So keep that in mind, that there's ways here of where you can build something that you can actually be discovered by, but also 200 to 300 people find out what I do every single day on the LinkedIn platform. That doesn't revolve around needing thousands of followers. It's a technique that's currently working, and it's working really, really well. The second part to that is if you set up your LinkedIn event correctly, and I have to say, I always want to preface this, they're immensely complicated to make work and achieve the exact result, but you can build these to also generate you leads as well, which is what we do for our customers. So not only do we have 16,000 people told us on LinkedIn that they're interested, I also have their email address, and that's where we do all of our call booking and of course email marketing furthermore. So we gauge people's interest in the place of business, but we allow LinkedIn to be the sort of virtual handshake here on the platform. That's why we're succeeding. And that's just one of the methods in which we use. And then of course, our LinkedIn content backs everything else up. We constantly reappear speaking about different subject matters, but that's all complementary to how they discovered me. Okay, so you have to build something on the platform where people can find you, and then you can speak more about that subject. Equally, I'm a public speaker on the LinkedIn platform with an audience of 16,000. I'm an industry leader, right? That's just how this platform works. So begin that process for you, because you can achieve that pretty quickly. In some industries, we've had customers be that and appear as that within a few weeks. Okay, so again, you can do some really creative stuff with events, but keep in mind that on the lead generation side, you also get their email. Okay, and it's an opted-in email, just as valuable as someone going to your website and filling in a form. Okay, anyway, let's jump on to the next question. A few more. So let's jump down a little bit more. So what common mistakes do people make on LinkedIn that hinder their lead generation efforts? I like this one. I recently did a video actually on 10 things that people do. So I won't cover what was in there just for the basis of they can be 2 separate pieces of content. But initially, it all starts with trying to sell. And this sounds really backwards, right? we're all in business. Anyone watching this, you're a business owner, okay? You're a founder, you're a CEO, and you're interested in getting more customers from LinkedIn. Well, guess what? So am I, and so is everybody watching this. Now, the reason where you need to start is actually, how do I impress these people I want to showcase what I do to? That's where we start with our customers. And why do we do that? Because nobody is shopping for anything on the LinkedIn platform. They're not shopping for my services. They're not shopping for my course. It's completely presented to them. So how many things do you have to see before you consider learning more about our course, right? In our case, it takes 8 to 10 touch points to turn someone that's absolutely brand new into being a customer. Okay, so, and one of the things that I've recognized in my industry is people don't consider buying until they've learned something. So if you happen to have learned something in this video, you might then consider how I can help you even further, right? Or you may want to ask me specific questions about how I can help your business, as an example. So again, that's what we look to have identified on LinkedIn, is when we educate people, the sales kind of follow. And again, that happens a lot with a lot of our customers as well. But you want to start with, how can I impress people from the get-go? Okay, so immediately with a lot of our funnels, we invite them to an event with 16,000 people that back me up. Immediate social proof. The second message might be a call to action on how, sorry, not a call to action, a case study on how we've helped someone similar in their industry achieve certain results. Okay, now you've immediately taken 2 steps. And then third, fourth, fifth, and sixth will all be different ways that they can improve what they're doing on the LinkedIn platform. So if I go ahead and send you a video as a message and it just shares, hey, Jim, I think you can improve your profile with these 5 tips. Here they are. And you think 3 of them are valuable. Well, I may just have your attention the next time I send you a message, right? So that's what I do here on the LinkedIn platform. But keep in mind, you just want to impress someone so they consider working with you. And if you're an expert in a field, you need to showcase your expertise in a way that makes them want to work with you. The moment that happens, you don't need to worry about anything else. Don't need to worry about having the correct sales copy or anything like that. They will literally message you and say, I would like to speak with you. Please send me your Calendly link. I'm not even joking. That's how it works here on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's go to the next question. But just keep in mind, you want to impress people, not sell people. And that's the difference maker. Okay, so next question says, what metrics do you track and measure to see if you're successful on the LinkedIn platform? That's a really good question, actually, because what I probably don't do that well is make that very clear on the platform. Everything we do is tracked, and it's tracked for customers as well. So we sort of focus on 4 or 5 different KPIs when you're a customer, and that is completely custom depending on your goals. So if you're looking at booking sales calls, then of course that's the main KPI that we're focusing on every single month. So there's many options and customability there, and I always just want to make that be known. But first and foremost, it all starts with sort of the outreach, right? So one of the most important things is finding where your prospects are, but more importantly, where they're the most active. And what I mean by this is, we can all go to Sales Navigator and find founders, okay? We can all do that in the USA, as an example. But the steps you take after that is where you get more targeted. So as I said, we want to find a warm way in which they are more likely to consider what we're doing. So if you're helping them achieve their, sort of excel within their job, which is what one of my customers does. He's a career coach and he helps CEOs excel within their new career. Well, one of the things that we might do is change that feature to say, just recently got hired in the last 90 days. Now, just because we found the people, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're interested in being the very best at what they do. Now, in certain job titles, it is the case, but for this example, we may look to find a group to further filter down our options. Of course, we can only look to extract 2,500 people at any given time. So if we just did founders, you can imagine there's probably 1 million of them, right? In the US, if not more than 1 million founders. But ultimately, you want to filter this down to the fewest possible with the most likelihood of wanting to take the next step. So I may look to find a group that's about self-improvement. I may look to find a group that's about becoming your best self, as an example, but we would find these groups that are immensely popular on the platform because the founders and CEOs within them are interested in being the best. Now, when we speak to them, you can imagine how that really, resonates with them a lot better than just any person that's found on the platform. Now, what you want to test there is a different group at a different time. So you don't want to mix groups. So say you take this audience of founders and you mix it, you choose to target one group. You don't want to mix that with another group because you won't know which one's more active. This is super important when you target groups because every group has a different level of activity. You'll be very surprised. Some of them have like 2 posts a week and some of them have 200 posts a day. And actually the size of the group doesn't actually matter. We've seen some of our best results from the smallest groups you can imagine, some with like 50 members within them. But again, it's how targeted they are. A little tip there, by the way, is if you're looking to build something on the LinkedIn platform that you want to grow and you can have control of, a group is a really good option. You can turn your profile, target groups for many months, so you get hundreds of connections from groups, and then you can invite them all to your own. And guess what happens then? You can actually self-promote to them within your own group because you make the rules. And obviously on LinkedIn, there a lot of the groups that are out there, they don't allow you to self-promote, but you absolutely can do it in your own group because you own it. So again, just a little friendly tip there. We like to do that as well for some customers, as it can be immensely valuable for something, again, that you can be discovered by, you're found, rather than doing the finding. That's the real shift here on LinkedIn. Okay. And then next question, how do you know when it's time to adjust a LinkedIn strategy? That's another really solid question. I think the obvious is when your stats that you're tracking start to dip, or that you find that there's a newest feature. So recently, I would recommend that you would build a group because there's been recent changes there where you can now, as I said, you can own a group and you can kind of do that at any level of your profile. Previously, it was only to high-level profiles and you were granted permission. Now it can be anybody. So again, that's a new option that's kind of opened up. 5 weeks ago, LinkedIn changed newsletters. Okay, so this is something that we're putting in for all customers at the moment, which is when LinkedIn make a change to one of their features or they bring in something new, even the video feature on mobile, right? A lot of our customers look to jump on board because they really reward you when you use something that's new. So with newsletters, they now handle your email marketing for you and they also pay for it, if that makes sense. So if you grow a newsletter here on the LinkedIn platform, there's 2 secrets to sort of reveal that are pretty obvious, but quite hidden. The first is when you post, every single person is notified. Every person in there, when you make a post, is notified on LinkedIn. The second is they actually get an email from LinkedIn with your copy, and it has a link for them to read the whole thing. So again, it gives you 2 options there where if you build something on the platform, again, people can find it through the platform. All the content that you post there is public, but they just have to subscribe to read the whole thing. So again, you can grow these very, very quickly. I only built my own 5 weeks ago. The reason for that was the email shift. I've generated 2,500 people inside a newsletter within that time. Okay, so it's very, very powerful. And it's right now where we're seeing the most people go from something that's completely cold and then jumping straight to a website. So the click-through rate's fantastic. And we haven't truly figured out why that seems to be the case compared to a message, but maybe it's just the nature of the beasts, or maybe it's just the way that they're discovering it, or maybe it's just the social proof that you get when everybody's notified about a post, right? So we're still diving into why that's the case, but they're immensely powerful and now something that I would heavily recommend, and it's what we're putting in for customers as well. Okay, let me just see, maybe we can do one more question here just at the end. Sure, let's just do this one. This one can happen at times as well, and it's kind of interesting because I just had this happen to me a week ago. It says, how can you handle negative comments or feedback based on your messaging or your content? That's a really solid question. Now, first of all, I want to say something about the LinkedIn platform here that's incredibly positive and as to why I spend so much time here. And it's the level of quality of people that are actually on the platform. So LinkedIn just recently came out and said that 49% of people earn more than $75,000 a year. Now, this tells me two things. One, very successful people, and typically I would suggest worldwide, that's you're in the higher levels of most of the world, is they don't, pardon my French, by the way, they don't shit on people trying. Okay, so there's not too much negativity here compared to, say, Facebook or Instagram, where I spent many years working as well. Okay, the second part to that is you're dealing with very high level professional people who are going to put forward their best self. Now, what I'd suggest there is if you're getting negative feedback to your messaging, it's because you're trying to sell someone that didn't tell you they're interested. Okay, so as an example, if I was interested in selling you, I wouldn't look to sell you. The first thing, if I wanted the quickest way possible to get there, would be to ask you a question. And that question right now for me is LinkedIn generating you new business leads? It's a yes or no question. And I've done that by design. That way the two preview options pop up. Okay, and they can click one button to reply. But it also opens the door if they are interested. So if they say, hey, James, no, I don't think my customers are on here, I can reply back and say, hey, Jim, if you would like, feel free to share with me who your customers are, and I'll let you know if I can find them, and I'll share with you how I've done that entirely for free. Opens the door completely, gives that prospect a complete opportunity to see the value I can provide their business. And most importantly, it'll share with them that their customers are on the platform. And a lot of the time, their mind's blown when I do that. The second option, if they say yes, well, fantastic, I'm glad you're getting results, but I can dive into their profile and say, hey, it appears that, you're not doing these few things that are incredibly successful for us. Would you be interested in hearing more about what they are? And they can say yes again. Okay. So again, and even if you're getting this much success on LinkedIn, there's more that you could achieve. And if you haven't even considered it because you think your clients aren't on there, why wouldn't you want an expert to find them for you, right? So again, these are sort of the ideas in which I would look to speed that process up. We use this technique right now with our target audience. Now, we grow many audiences for many different reasons, as you can imagine. The customers that look to take on our service for 4 months are different businesses and different people from the people that are starting out looking to learn whether they're prospects on LinkedIn and what's possible here. So we target two different types of people, and that works really well. But we have to make that immensely clear. So your messaging should be different. And then on the content side, put it this way, I'll leave you with a very simple, sort of quote that I've always liked is people don't hate on people that are doing better than. Okay, so no one doing better than you will ever hate on you. Okay, so just know that you must be doing something right if you have someone saying something negative. And this is even better when it's competitors, which is something that we experience here on the LinkedIn platform. As you know, there's other people that do what we do, but we're very confident in the results that we've achieved for customers. But you can imagine what some people say on the LinkedIn platform from time to time that are also in this space. But again, we don't look to make false promises. We're incredibly transparent to work with, and we're very realistic about results, and we don't overpromise about anything. Okay, that's one thing that happens in this space, but we don't look to bring any negativity there because, as I said, each to their own, right? Anyway, I wanted to take this last couple seconds to say thank you so much. I hope you learned something during this live session. We're at 33 minutes at this point, and I don't want to make this too long. Now, if you have any questions at all after seeing this and you want to ask me some questions directly, we can absolutely book a call. All I ask is you consider our services upon with that. That's not too much to ask for, right? Secondly, I do want to take this moment to let you know what it is we do and how we can help. Of course, we have to do this. This is the business model that we're in. So again, if you're not wanting to hear that, feel free to leave. But after 34 minutes of value, I hope you can take the opportunity to listen. First of all, our LinkedIn course. This is a new thing that has taken around 7 months to build. Okay, it's the best on the platform. I know that because we bought all the competitors and we dissected what they did good, what they did bad, and we have tenfolded what they've done. And I'm very, very proud of what we've put together. It's also on sale. It's currently got $1,000 off as part of our launch offer. And anyone receiving this video, you're open to that link. Now, that link is currently available on my LinkedIn profile. You can go ahead and access it from my featured section on my profile, so feel free to visit that. And ultimately, all that is within that course, all 66 lessons, all 13 modules, all 8 hours worth of lessons is all explained on the landing page. So feel free to click through there, learn there, and ask any questions about that. The second side is we do offer a service where we take on your profile or profiles, depending on your team size, and we actually look to build you a strategy that converts for the goals you're looking for. This is our main bread and butter, okay? So we work with plenty of high-level businesses. We've worked with brands as big as Fortune 500s, as well as some brand new startups. Ultimately, what we do for you is we take over your LinkedIn for 4 months. We sit down with you and understand everything about your business, and most importantly, who you're looking for. And we dissect them, provide you that data, but we also message them for you. So again, if you're interested in either of those options, feel free to message me directly. I'll respond in whatever way you choose. You can find, of course, my website within my featured section as well. But get in contact and we can schedule a chat to see how we can better help you achieve some more business growth from LinkedIn. And trust me, it's very much possible. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. Anyway, as from me, I'm James Mason. I'm a LinkedIn outreach expert, as you can see. And I look forward to seeing you in the next piece of value I send you. Anyway, speak to you soon.